Well, good morning. We are diving straight back into it, building up this stone wall and this beautiful stone fireplace. If you made it to the end of last week's video, you would have heard me say that I think that this video is where we will see the most amount of progress, the biggest transformation on this project. If you happen to be new, let me catch you up to speed. We recently spent about a week digging out this entire terrace here, digging through the mountain, collecting stones, basically digging out our own quarry, and then we're using those stones to hand chisel them and build up a beautiful retaining wall as well as a large fireplace. We've been through this process once before of building on an addition to our stone house here in the foothills of the Italian Alps, building out an additional room, and now we're going through the same process, digging out a little bit of extra space outside, as well as building up that retaining wall and fireplace. Well, I can't think of anything that'll wake you up faster than mixing a couple of yards of concrete before 7:30 a.m. or really anything that will put you to sleep faster either. We have mostly filled up behind these forms, which will act as the structural form of the back of the firebox, and obviously we'll be facing that concrete with fire bricks, beautiful fire bricks that will contrast nicely with these lovely stone columns that we have on either side. To add strength to the concrete mix, we're obviously adding in some stones as we pour, making sure they're settled in nicely, and then filling the concrete in around them.
Non spianarlo. Metti sotto, si spiano.
Così o più?
Va bene.
So I'm not sure if I've ever admitted to this, but when I was in college, I was a pretty decent student. I got mostly A's and B's in my classes, well, except for when it came to geology. I just found that to be a horrifically boring subject. Not interested in rocks, and I failed it twice. True story. Failed it once, I took it again, I failed it a second time. It's the only class I've ever gotten, I believe, less than a B in, and I failed that class twice. And here I am spending my entire day, a very large portion of my life, working with rocks and stones, and when I go to sleep at night, all I see is chiseling away of stones, and when I walk around town and I see a stone, I can tell if it's a cornerstone or a good stone for a cornerstone or for just a face stone, and who would have thought that after failing geology twice, I would be spending so much of my life working with stones. Well, far too many concrete mixes later, and we finally have filled up the back behind the firebox here. Let me show you how it looks. So back behind all of those panels, we filled in with concrete as well as with stones. And then tomorrow, once that dries, we'll remove these panels here, and then we can eventually face that concrete with fire bricks. But we have to get that concrete in and dried now, because eventually as we move on, we need to have that support of the concrete to build up the saletta, the roof, I guess, of the firebox there, and continue building up the chimney. Well, good morning to what is just another beautiful morning. I love this time of year. The fall and the winter is the best in this part of Italy, and I really shouldn't even call it winter, at least according to my standards. It feels more like fall all year round to me, but we've been getting these insanely beautiful sunrises every single morning. With that nice crisp weather, it's perfect for all of the mixing of concrete and breaking of stones that we are embarking upon. If I'm being honest, my body is failing me a bit, and I've been doing a little bit too much hiking on the weekends. And actually this past weekend, I went on my first Via Ferrata with my friends Silvio and Ori, and wish me luck. And for my first one, they chose an expert level ferrata. A ferrata is kind of a mix between outdoor rock climbing and intense hiking. You're climbing over steep terrain, clipped into a harness, clipped into a chain. You have to wear a helmet in case of rocks falling. And while it was beautiful, it was a little adventurous for my first attempt, and my muscles, my legs and arms are not functioning this morning. As we get further into this process, someday I'd love to take the camera out hiking with me more and show the towns around here, but especially for me, hiking is where it's at. Being up in the mountains and being able to look down and see the different towns scattered out throughout the valley, it really is something truly special. It feels like you can hear everything from miles away, and on this particular day, you could hear the church bells nearly every 20 minutes as it was Sunday, and the combination between the sounds of the bells and the views made it a very special trip, but I'm paying for it today. Oh, mamma mia! And now that we've torn the panels off and revealed the firebox, at least out of concrete, you can tell the shape. Now all of that concrete will be covered up in fire bricks, but to see the shape of the firebox take place and to see the pillars on the right and left side coming into place, it's beautiful. We're getting ready now to close up the top and get ready to build the chimney stack. Just taking a quick break to tell you about today's video, sponsor of Equip's Prime Protein. This is something that I've been drinking quite a lot of the last couple of weeks to keep up with the work, and it's honestly one of my favorite products that I've tried this year. Getting enough protein is something that everyone struggles with. The majority of us are getting far less protein than our bodies need, and it's not just for muscle support. Protein is vital for neurotransmitter function, cognitive support, and our memory. And I've read a lot of studies about how you can help prevent neurodegenerative diseases by making sure you're getting enough protein every single day. Now, what makes Prime Protein different is the quality of their ingredients. See, most protein powders are chock full of processed sugar, GMO corn, vegetable oils, and a whole list of ingredients that you can't pronounce. But Prime Protein sticks strictly to whole food ingredients, using often as little as just 3 ingredients. Now let's talk about flavor, as that's what really separates Prime apart, as all of their powders taste like dessert. In past videos, I've shown you guys how to make a cappuccino with 21 grams of protein that tastes delicious. And I've shown you how to make a chocolate shake that will rival anything you can find at the ice cream shop, only instead of a lot of processed sugar, there's 21 grams of protein. Now, my favorite way to drink the chocolate flavor is in a frozen smoothie, but since I have no blender on the job site, I just use a hand mixer to mix it up in a glass of cold water, and it is delicious. So far, we've tried the chocolate flavor, the peanut flavor, the coffee flavor, all of which are delicious. Our favorite is the chocolate. We're down to like the last 2 or 3 scoops left. We need to get another order of it. So go ahead, check out Prime Protein for yourself. It really is one of our new favorite products. You can check out the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. Thank you so much to Equip for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back at it. Days like today, I wish I had paid more attention to geometry class. Now that we've built up the walls of the firebox, we need to slope up that roof. So I'm cutting out 2 panels that account for the proper slope, as well as a 40 centimeter opening that we will then build our chimney stack out of. We originally were going to go for a flat roof, but this will function a lot better and be a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Ok, e per qui cosa facciamo?
No, per qui adesso devo finire io, armare qua, dopo mettiamo sull'altro.
adesso
scarichi, io finisco qua.
Ok. Well, things are definitely starting to get a little bit real as the scaffolding has just arrived, because we are just about out of reach. We definitely can do a little bit more work here, but it is almost time to start building up that scaffolding. It's time to start making the stones that will bridge across the gap here. All of those stones need to be cornerstones. This will be the same process that we did with the arch on the inside of the house. This won't be an arch, it'll be straight across, but you do go through the same process. Well, we need to shape probably a dozen or so stones, basically this size right here. Cornerstones that are ideally 55 centimeters long by 25 centimeters tall, and those are awfully specific dimensions for shaping stone. This is all for the column of stones that goes across on the top of the firebox right before it transitions into a wood lintel beam there. It's not exactly the easy way of doing things, but it will be beautiful. Well, it's pretty exciting seeing our final formworks going up. As you can see, that final internal shape of the fireplace taking form. These acro props right here are going to be holding up what is our formworks for the stone. So we'll have another row of stones going along here. And then obviously back there is the internal formworks for the chimney. On top of the formworks, we will place a little bed of sand and then start placing those stones. And then for the internal chimney, we'll place the actual bricks that will be visible from the inside on top of the formwork and then lay a bed of concrete over top. Once we get all the way through it, it'll start to make sense.
Dopo qua andare in su, se riusciamo lo teniamo dentro nel muro, senza fare ancora un angolo, no.
Con questi, sì?
Sì, con quelli lì davanti il sasso, ma dentro nel muro così.
Se così non serve più angoli.
Dentro, dopo quando arriviamo su in cima fai l'angolo che va su ancora un po'.
Capito? All right, so I think the plan will be to set a couple of rows in place like so. But in order to continue building up the slope, I need to make sure that this first row gets set in place. So first I'm gonna mix up another batch of cement and cement those in place, let them harden a little bit, do both sides. And then once they firm up just a little bit, then I'll continue on.
Però su c'è la coltellata tutta. So if you've ever laid tile, it turns out this process is exactly the opposite of laying tile. Normally you would put your bed of mortar down first and then lay your tiles on top of that. But with this process, you put your bricks down first. You go through the same process as tile work, but then you lay your bed of mortar over top of everything else to hold it in place.
So I was just running around grabbing stones and looked up and I saw the reflection of the sun off this wall. I know the camera's not really doing it justice right now, but seeing the highlights of the sunrise bouncing off this wall, it really is something. I know it's all a mess with all of the debris and junk in the background, but man, with the shape of this fireplace coming up, and to see the angle of the wall here with the fireplace being straight and the sunrise in the background, I can see it all kind of coming together, and it's just gonna be the spot that I wake up every morning at 6 a.m. to sit out here, enjoy my coffee, and enjoy the view. Well, as exciting as it is to see the fireplace taking shape, especially with the angles coming up above the firebox, I'm realizing that it's just the beginning, as those current angles are just for the chimney, and the angles that we see on the outside will be far more pronounced. And once we get all of the stones running across up above, as well as that wood lintel in place, it's just gonna be fantastic. We had a couple of delays the last few days, and there's just 2 of us working here, so I'm pretty pleased with the amount of progress that we've been able to pull off. But if you've enjoyed this week's video, then don't miss our next one as we fully finish out the fireplace, or at least around the firebox area. Next week we'll be adding in the wood lintels, getting ready to add on to that chimney stack, and of course, raising up the retaining wall as well. Thank you so much for watching and spending part of your day with us. We'll see you next week.